I always remember I had an English teacher, I hope she sees this. She said to me, you will never be anything.
Shelly, from Shelly Rob, what do your students call you?
I'm Miss Jackson, but I'm technically Mrs. Perez.
Okay.
You know?
I love it. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this episode, first of all.
I'm excited. I'm excited and nervous. Full transparency, I blank, I get hyped.
No, but like I do that too. I'll literally like say on podcasts like, oh, I'm nervous, I'm sweating.
I don't even know how I became a teacher, honestly. Because when I am like put in front of someone, I'm like,
it's different because that's like, like that's like second nature.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of episodes about different kinds of teaching. Whether it be elementary school or high school, kindergarten specifically. I have been waiting to find a special education teacher.
Here I am.
So long.
It kind of just fell in your lap.
It really did.
Why, you're a teacher?
At the event and was like, what kind of content do you? She's like, oh, I'm a special education teacher. I'm like,
what are you doing Wednesday?
Will you do an episode with me tomorrow? Like, what are your plans? Like, will you be my friend?
I have no friends.
I'm your friend. What do you mean? I'm somebody.
I have a few best friends. I do. But in Florida, I have.
Oh, I don't live in Florida. That's why.
I know. Well, now maybe I can visit.
Of course. I have a guest room. I have cats. Come stay. You're always welcome. Everyone, all my friends are always welcome.
It's so sweet.
First of all, like, I will ramble. So I'm going to shut up in a moment. But I just want to know, like, how you would define special education for those who are not in teaching and maybe not even have kids. Okay. What is special education? How did you decide that's what was for you? Okay. And how did you decide, like, that's your passion?
Okay. So, actually, funny story.
Okay.
Special education, teaching, educator, as people may say, is my second career. I was in the criminal justice field. I worked with special narcotics prosecutions, but prior to getting my master's in criminal justice, I was a sub. Then I got my degree, I started working in the field, and I would just continuously think about when I worked with these children. And it just happened to be the special education population. That's where my mom was. That's where my best friends were. So that's where I subbed. And I went back. I decided.
What is special education?
So special education, obviously an education system where students have a diagnosis. It can be anywhere from a learning disability, ASD, some are physical disabilities, where students may need a little extra push and have to be, and we have some students that are able to have a few classes with gen ed, which we'll call inclusion. And then there's some that just need all our love in our classroom themselves. And it's like a smaller class setting. You have more adults in the classroom that can offer more assistance, more one-to-ones, and just really care for these students and give them the accommodations and modifications that they need.
I love it. I love it so much.
I love them.
What age group do you focus on? Like, what is your age group?
Okay, so for 5 years, I did high school.
Less.
I did high school. I had the big boys. I've always had boy classes. Yeah?
I loved
high school.
I loved high school.
I loved it. So I actually did teaching fellows where I applied and I put that I wanted elementary. Rob put that he wanted high school. He got elementary and I got high school. Yeah.
Oh, I love
I was like, why? I was mortified. I was like, high school, what am I going to do? These kids are Amazons these days. So I went through training. I got my job. I met my boys. I had an all boys class.
Oh,
and
bless your heart.
All boys, and they were all nonverbal, all behavioral. And I was like, okay, yeah, I got this. They're like, yeah, you need to teach the LAMP program. I was like,
The what program?
The LAMP program is language acquisition through motor planning.
Okay. Okay.
And I was like, what's that?
Yeah.
What's that? What
does that mean? Okay.
And then I'm not tech savvy. What business do I have teaching an entire classroom through an iPad?
Oh.
Because they were nonverbal.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does that work? Like, I would love to know more about like how you were able to accomplish that.
So the speech therapists.
Okay.
We had 2 wonderful speech. They were just amazing. They came in like, let's teach you. I was like, okay, good luck.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So they brought up the program. They showed me that like you can lock things out, add things in, pictures, family names, restaurants, whole lot of.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is great, except I don't remember how to put that in there. So we collaborated. And everything we did was together with speech. So if I wanted to teach a lesson, like, I don't know, science, let's just say, life cycle, we would literally put in what we would need for it, whatever words we would need for it, do little social stories with the pictures from the iPad, print them out, do social stories in the classroom. They would answer with their iPads. I was like, wow. And the fascinating part is that you go on the top and they can make a sentence or just use how many words they want. You tap it and it talks back to you.
That's so cool.
And everything was always like in the same place. So that skill was like automatic. So it became like a very easy response for them.
That's amazing.
I learned so much there. And then, we started taking them so backtrack a little bit. My boys were older already.
Okay.
So I got them at 15, 16. So at this point, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, you're 16 years old. What good does it do for you if I'm like, A is A? What is that going to do for you?
Right.
Absolutely nothing. So now we're going to work on a life skill. What can I help you with that you can go out there and you can do something for yourself? So we did life skills and vocational.
I love that so much.
So we taught them how to fold. We had a laundry, like school bought washing machines. They did laundry. We would go to classrooms, collect laundry. They would like fill out the form, put the date, do the laundry, fold it. They learn how to fold. Then we'll deliver it back. So they learned delivery, folding, washing. There was cooking, made sandwiches, salads, sold them. So they learned about money. And we did all of that through their device. It was sick.
That is amazing.
Sick. And we saw behaviors starting to deter because now they had a purpose. Now you're being heard. Imagine, this is what I was trying to explain to many people, and some understand and some don't. But let's say you have so much to say and you're trapped in your body. No one understands you. The words don't come out. Now you're not given this device to express yourself. You're given nothing. You're sitting there. They don't know. They don't speak. When you're understanding everything, I'm angry. I'm going to hit you.
Wow.
I'm starving. I'm being abused. How do I tell you that?
Wow.
Anger. So they're behavioral. No,
yeah, absolutely.
No, they're not behavioral. They don't have a voice.
Right, exactly.
Give them the voice. Show them how to express themselves. So I guess through that divide, and the therapist was just wonderful, showing them love. Some of them just need a hug. Give them the hug. They've never been hugged.
To know that there's someone on their side.
Right.
Oh.
So instead of saying,
stop
it. So instead of saying, you're bad, you hit someone, I understand you're angry and it's okay to be angry, but let's try something else. Tell me you're angry, however that looks to you. Draw it out. Draw it out. Crumble the paper.
Wow.
Give them different tools where they can tell you, I am pissed. And I'm allowed to be pissed because those are my feelings. How can I tell you don't
feel whatever?
How can I tell you don't be mad, you're bad?
Yeah, no, you feel what you feel. Feelings are valid.
So this is what I try. Even now I have littles. Now I have K through 5th, all subjects.
Okay.
And some of them are very verbal, some not so verbal. But same thing, tantruming, throwing himself on the floor, and it's like, are you hungry? Can you tell me, are you hungry? How are you supposed to tell me that? Are you upset because you have time issues? Now I was told that student does not read, doesn't understand anything, very low IQ. I said, okay. I take the information I'm given about the student, but that's not how I'm judging it. You can tell me whatever you want. I'll keep it somewhere in there. I'm going to make that judgment. I'm going to do my own test because we're different.
Yes.
And maybe I'm building a different rapport with my student than you are. So that's one thing that I dislike about the system. When teachers become teachers, they're like, well, that teacher said that student is, Really?
You're my person. I'm like, so much.
Are they, Are you, I don't know.
Okay, this is a side note. And I was obviously a gen ed.
Yes.
But, I'm gonna start crying.
No, stop. I'm a crier. I cry watching commercials, so don't do it. Don't do it.
I had a class of sophomores one year, and I remember I was new to this school, And most of my
It's
colleagues
so
were a little
nerve-wracking.
older. And
Right.
I'll just never forget one of the older teachers, like, coming during second period, taking a peek into my room and just going, you have
So-and-so is there.
You have those.
Yes.
Just like the
Right.
comments. And at first, this kid, we'll call him Joey. At first, Joey, like, had behavior issues. Didn't
Right.
come to class, didn't turn in assignments. And one day I just sat him down and I was like, you are so much better than this, my guy. Like,
That
what
part.
are you doing? Like, he and another kid got in an almost physical fight in my room.
Right.
And I took him, that was the day I took him to the hallway and I was like, what are you doing? Like, you are a smart kid. I've heard you talk. I've heard you speak to me.
Right.
You are what are you doing? And no one's ever told him that before. And from that day, he started coming to class, every day. He started coming to Smart Lunch every other day. We raised his grade from a 53 to an 84.
Wow.
And I called his dad to tell him.
Did you cry?
His dad's immediate response was, what did he do now?
Oh, so we'll get
And
to
I
that.
was like, no.
I'm actually calling for something good.
That he's like got a B now.
That's awesome.
It was either like a very high C almost a B or
Yeah.
a very low B. I can't remember.
But it was not enough.
I might have gotten the numbers. But like, he was like taken aback and he was like, oh,
Yeah.
like some of these kids just need someone in
Yeah.
their corner.
Right.
And, like, you're that. Okay. I'm
So-
sorry.
so-
You talk more.
No,
Go ahead.
no, of
But I
course.
just needed to tell you.
No, but it is that. It is that. They're already being judged and there's already a title and now you are your diagnosis. No. I have a diagnosis. That doesn't define me. That's what people don't understand. Oh, the autistic child over there.
That's why I love the new.
What?
That's disgusting. I love the new, like, no, that's a child with autism. Like, I
Right.
love the new student first language.
Right.
That's so important for the kids to hear, like, you are not your disability. And I know,
Right.
like, I've been diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
Which a much more mild form than what a lot of other kids do.
Okay.
But I know my mom never got me tested when I was younger
Right.
because she didn't want me to have a label.
But for us, I don't know if we're in the same generation. I'm 36.
I'm 28.
Okay. I'm almost 10 years. Okay.
No. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, almost a decade, but you know.
Yeah.
But when I never really heard that much of so many disabilities. Just, I only heard learning disability, maybe autism here and there. Come to find out, some people went to school with had an autism classification. I'm like, what? Never did I ever hear of a classroom for ASD or a whole unit for ASD. So when I started, getting into teaching, I was like, what is this? Where did it come from? How are there so many? I don't have answers, obviously. I don't know how this happens, but it's like, what was so different when we were younger?
I hear all the time, and this is something that I will always make a comment about.
Right.
Because I love when these people are wrong. I always hear people make comments about, well, when I was growing up, we never had these disabilities before.
They were
we
there.
Never had these labels, and we never blah, 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 blah. That's incorrect, because
They were there.
We historically have evidence and documentation about Spartan mothers babies with disabilities out in the woods. We have documentation of Roman emperors putting disabled individuals in the graves, which is disgusting. Disgusting behavior.
can't.
So don't give me crap about how this wasn't a thing. No.
Yeah.
It was vile to individuals with disabilities before.
Right.
This is not a new thing. It's not all of a sudden new age. No, we're just learning that people are people, and we should have a long time ago.
Now they're getting what they need.
Exactly. And now we are giving them the tools that they need to really be a part of our society. Learning how to fold, learning how to make sandwiches, learning how to do life skills that they can become contributing members of society.
Right.
That's the only difference. Is that we're deciding we value human life. So if you're someone that values human life like you claim, value all human life.
That part. That part.
Yeah.
I when I was younger, they would always pull me out to the resource bus. And everyone was like, she has a learning disability. I was like, probably, I don't know.
Probably, I don't know.
Probably. I just didn't get it. But English was not my first language.
Got it.
So now, instead of saying, oh, she's an ESL student, it's like, she has a disability. And if I did,
So what?
what is the problem?
We all learn differently.
Take
Even
me,
all the kids.
take me to the freaking bus.
Even all the kids in the gen ed room still all learn differently.
They sure
They
do.
are just able to accommodate themselves a little bit better, and like, that's what a lot of people don't understand. Some people, even in the gen ed rooms, some are visual learners, some are audio learners. Some people like to learn by doing. That's why I would always change between lectures and games and simulations and projects, because there's so many, even in non-special education rooms, there are so many different ways of learning. You can't always hit all of the marks
with one way of teaching.
So just because some other individuals require a little bit extra, whether an accommodation, an IEP, a 504, like, okay, everyone, it should already be a thing that we all learn differently already.
Yep.
Why does this they need a little extra something?
I was bullied like crazy growing up. I was a dumb kid.
You were dumb.
I stuttered. I always hid. I was that kid that if I saw the teacher was starting to pick people in a row to read, I would find my paragraph to read it over and over.
Too. No. We all did that. Don't feel bad about it. We all did that.
I still got it wrong.
No.
I still got it wrong. And I was like, all right, this is great. And I always got bullied. And I always remember I had an English teacher. I hope she sees this. She said to me, you will never be anything.
Oh, ew. No.
Right?
Ew.
Couldn't stand me.
Ew.
She said, you will be a nobody. I said, watch me. I got my first master's. I went back to the school. I said, hello, how are you?
Yes.
How you doing? I, the nothing, taught a college class. I'm also in special narcotics prosecuting team.
Yes.
But I'm nothing.
Ma'am.
Then I became a teacher, which is what she is. But now I have 2 masters on you. Hi. I would have worked here, but I don't want to be surrounded by colleagues that are shit colleagues like you.
Yes.
Bye.
Ma'am.
That
matters.
I just don't understand. What do you get out of that? What do you get out of telling someone they're going to be no one? Just mind your business. Be quiet.
I had a student who was told that by one of the English teachers, and there's nothing against English teachers.
No, I know, it just happened to be the same. I love English.
I say this all the time. Every profession has individuals who should not be in that profession.
100%.
Every single one, whether it's nurses, police officers, teachers,
100%.
whatever, they all have, there's always a small percent of people who just do not need to be there.
Right.
And depending on the profession, it can be more dangerous.
Right.
I once had a student who was just like in absolute tears because the teacher told them that they wouldn't be able to go to college. It wouldn't make sense for them to go to college. It would be a waste of time for him to go to college because this is America and you're a black man.
Nope. Nuh-uh.
What are you going to do? I saw red when he told me that. And I went and I talked to that teacher. And I was like, you got like 10 seconds.
And hurry up.
She genuinely thought she was doing him a favor and was just warning him and like giving him realistic expectations. And I was
nope.
I still to this day I think about it and I'm like, I don't dislike
like, I would punch you in the face.
I have a very short, it takes a lot to get on my list.
Right.
Okay? That lady is like way up there. I've never forgotten that moment.
That's gross.
It's
gross.
Me up.
Yeah, nope.
But going more to productive questions, because I'll sit here now.
Stories, right?
I
have so many lines up.
I want to know, well, I want to, we will get back to stories.
No,
I want to know, big thing. What's the difference between, what is an IEP and a 504, and what's the difference between the two?
Okay. So, actually, my son, I thought he would get a ASD diagnosis. He had a lot of the characteristics, and I was like, all right, let's get evaluated. I was not educated enough in what was the difference between an IEP and a 504.
Okay.
So, they told me, oh, he does not have ASD. He has sensory processing disorder and anxiety disorder.
Okay.
I said, okay, doesn't he get an IEP for that? Like, what is this? What does it look like? So what they said to me was, the 504 is not so much it can be taken away. Like he can have a 504, and he can have this therapist, and they will put some accommodations for him that would help him. But he did not need an IEP. Now that is what I don't understand.
Okay.
Because what is the difference for me?
Yes.
Do you know the difference? Like, what did they tell you when you learned the difference in it? Because that trips me up. Some children that I've worked with have a 504, some have an IEP, and when I read it, they look exactly the same. So are you not doing the paperwork correctly, or?
I've gotten this question before, and like when I got this question, I was literally still teaching.
I'm stuck.
Years ago, and I went to my colleague.
Yeah.
Like
teachers,
in special education, and they gave me an explanation, and so I gave that explanation to make sure it was correct.
And everybody's
I had so many comments that are like, "That's not what it is," and I'm like,
"It looks different." Apparently, it looks different everywhere.
What I was told, and again, this could be wrong. This is just what my friend.
I was told 4 different things.
Right.
Okay.
I was told that the 504 has more to do with like. Not necessarily like behavioral, but sometimes body behavior, like medical.
So yeah, they still call it behavioral.
And it's because it's not a specific disability. Like they consider a disability and a medical condition different. So like how the example that I was given is that a student who has to for medical reasons go to the bathroom numerous times in a class period.
Right.
That's not a disability. That's a medical issue. That's a 504.
We have it as an IEP.
Really?
Yep. I have a toileting schedule. Yeah. And then you know how I said sensory processing technically is not a disability, but it is because it's a diagnosis in a disability category. But he didn't qualify for IEP.
You know something else?
What is it?
I'm really working on this.
Okay.
Because I didn't know, because this is something that is like common where I'm from. Is I once did a skit video about special education, and I'm like even afraid to say it because I don't want to upset anybody. But
they'll be upset that I'm a special education teacher and don't know things. So.
It's very common for like someone to like, oh hi, I'm not a special education teacher. Like, hi, I'm Rebecca Rogers. I'm a like SPED teacher, and I said in my skit like, oh, you can find the SPED teacher, and so many people were like, how dare you say that? That's like so many people have used that as a noun that I guess a lot of people now consider that very offensive.
Really?
And I didn't know. And so I'm even to this day like catching myself because that was just such a common like acronym.
Yeah.
That I was like, I really didn't know. I didn't mean to upset anybody. Like I really had no idea.
For me, I don't find it offensive because that's how they refer to me in the school. You can go to Ms. Jackson, she's the ASD teacher over there. I've seen it multiple times come up on TikTok where people are like, we're not SPED. Don't call us SPED. And I get it. But that's how it is on the paper. So when a parent comes in or someone else who's not in our career or mine as a special educator, it says SPED. So like, oh, are you the SPED teacher?
Yes, that's what I said.
So what do you say? No.
No, don't say like that's not what they put on the schedule. And it's like then if it's something that we shouldn't use, they need to change that at the
I think
level. Maybe
that's why in the school at am it says ASD.
That makes sense.
Because when I was in New York, when I first started, it was as PED.
Vernacular changes so quickly sometimes that people who aren't in the community don't always know, and I'm like, please tell me, but like, don't yell at me because I just didn't know, and I'll do.
And I'm going to, and I'll be completely transparent. I should be doing more research. I should 100%.
We're all still learning in our careers.
It's always ever changing.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Sometimes I'm really caught off guard, and I'm like, I don't know the answer to that, actually. But thank you for bringing it up because this is probably something I should know.
Well, I think that's a very healthy way to approach your job in general, especially when it comes to things like, every example that I always give, teaching, nursing, whatever, like, I think people who assume, oh, I know everything, I don't look anything up, like, that's a very unhealthy way to look at anything.
There's so many people like that.
Most of the general population, like, we should work here, and we do our best. And
right.
And we can always learn something new. We will always come across new changes and new research, and that's fine.
Right.
Everyone is not going to know everything all the time, and I think that's so normal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, don't feel bad about it, because
Right.
like, people crave that authenticity. Like,
Right.
professionals always have more to learn in their field.
I
always.
think because there are those people, I think they know everything. When someone tells me something and I'm like, oh, I didn't educate me about it, they see it as, oh, so you think I don't know and you do? And I'm like, no, I literally need you to educate me about it. Like, I need you to tell me, feed me this information. I'm hungry.
Yes.
Give it to me.
So a few other questions I have for you, because I feel like this will also make us go down a rabbit hole.
I'm scared.
No. Wait. I want to know, like, as a special education teacher, and I want to focus on a different.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Gen Ed teachers. I want to talk about administration. I want to talk about parents. So, like, starting with Gen Ed teachers.
Yes.
What are some ways that Gen Ed teachers make your life more difficult? And when I'm saying Gen Ed teachers, for those that don't know, I mean, like, teachers like me, social studies teachers, math teachers, the regular,
like non-accommodation
not
teachers.
special education
Right.
teachers, like, a regular 5th grade teacher. Like, how do Gen Ed teachers make your life more difficult?
So a few of my students go to Gen Ed. They're starting. So they'll either go to math or they'll just go to ELA. One thing that really rubs my gears, we're not having this conversation of where my student is at and where you should meet them.
Okay.
And they have an IEP. I'm not being asked like, oh, what are their accommodations? What does that look like, right? Because I am a special educator. I am certified. And then I also have to be certified as a Gen Ed. Why don't the Gen Eds have to be certified as special ed? Because
We all have students with IEP.
how are you
I've never
able
had
to
a
accommodate
class.
my child?
I've never had a class. Now, again, I was a baby teacher.
Right.
But I don't know any teacher that has ever had a class that has not had at least one IEP.
Yeah.
You always have kids with you. And it's just becoming more normalized. I can't talk right now. I'm too excited.
No, you're fine.
As it's becoming more normalized, like, people are getting the accommodations that they need, which
Right.
is great. So, like, there's always going to be IEPs in your classroom.
Right.
You should know how to handle those.
Right. And that's the biggie. Like, the accommodations aren't met, or they'll say, hey, I don't think they can come over here because, no, I just don't understand them. Like, because, when I tell you, fire.
Yeah. And you should.
So I said, explain that to me. What do you mean, What does that look? What does that mean? No, no, I don't know. So explain it to me. Now I'm snarky because now I'm pissed. Those kids, I've never had those type of kids.
No.
Did you just call them those?
No.
Because throw me out of here because I'm losing my mind. Baker at me at this point. I am pissed. Do you know that some of your Gen Ed students are worse behaved than mine? Mine ran around the classroom, they threw him out. What happened to redirection? What happened to setting the expectation in the classroom? Your student is running, but because mine has a diagnosis, oh, he can't be in here. That's my worst thing. Those kids, I don't know.
No.
So what are you doing with the student? Because I don't send them back. I literally call the office. This is not working out. I'm very sorry, because now I'm getting behaviors. Because now they don't feel heard. They don't understand the work, so now they feel like they know nothing.
They don't feel wanted in that room.
And they can feel your energy. You don't even have to say anything.
I've gotten so many comments from children on TikTok that are like so nervous to go into a classroom with their accommodations because they feel like a burden. And they've asked me, well, do teachers get annoyed when they see they have
Aww.
And I'm like, no.
Those are teachers that shouldn't be teachers.
If a teacher gets annoyed that they have students with IEPs, they're one of the
Get a
ones that
different
shouldn't be
job.
in the
Yeah.
classroom. Nothing makes me more angry than hearing teachers like use language like those kids, or using language like barely qualifying for their accommodation.
Oh, yeah.
I don't I just don't like it. I don't associate with those people, those kinds of individuals. No in particular.
Barely.
You know what? I feel like when people show their true colors, you believe them. And
100%.
When people have a certain type of mentality about society's most vulnerable, that tells you a lot about them. And that's just my opinion on that.
I'm with it.
Is there any other ways that general education teachers make your life more difficult as a special education teacher?
It's just a lot of not understanding the student, the work they give, the behavior things. Right.
Because, like, I'll admit, I was a baby teacher, you know.
Right. You're learning.
So many years.
You're learning while teaching.
Still
Yeah.
learning as I go. I was not perfect. I did what I could. I did my best. And I feel like I learned a lot. I had some very unique IEPs that a lot of teachers don't usually end up interacting with, because like my school specialized, or where I student taught, specialized in visual disabilities. So
Okay.
I had a braille machine.
Oh, wow.
It was fascinating. So I had a student who was fully blind, and it was fascinating to me to have to learn and figure out as I go.
Right.
Like as someone who's just learning to teach in general, how do I teach at a way in which this student is still getting the same education,
Right.
is still learning, is not feeling left out, feels included and loved that she's
Right.
there. Like, that was obviously difficult.
Of course.
But I loved it.
Right.
I thought it was.
It was like me with the program.
It was challenging, but in a way that I was so passionate about and that I loved.
Right.
And like I love that, and that is the kind of passion I think belongs in the gen ed classroom. That like you're going to have these kids are so worried about feeling like a burden or a bothersome or like
In this
extra
world that's already
right,
setting them up for failure in a way.
right, exactly,
Because this generation is, I'm so sorry, is nasty.
yeah,
The vocabulary, the actions, I've never dealt myself. I've never dealt with so much disgusting behavior in my life. The verbiage, I just, I'm just, who
are you?
Who birthed you? What happened?
you?
Where did you fall off? Can I help you by, like,
Right.
this is not okay.
No.
So yeah, I just feel like they, and sometimes it's like you said, a baby teacher.
Right.
Sometimes you just don't know,
And
and I feel like
learn.
it's either you can go out there and like, hey, I have this, help me, or your colleagues are there.
I feel like another issue when it comes to something that I've seen in other gen ed teachers is the idea of like feeling like you should know everything, and then when you realize that you don't, instead of just taking the L,
Shut down.
and just they get defensive and they double down and they're, well, I shouldn't have to. No, take the L, show some humility,
Right.
because these kids have to do that every day.
Absolutely.
You can take the L for an afternoon, realize that you maybe didn't approach this IEP or this accommodation or this student the right way.
Right.
Or maybe you did your best and it just didn't work out the way, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That happens. That's life.
Right.
But like when you put your ego above these kids'
Yes, you feel them.
like you're feeling
You feel
these
them,
kids.
100%.
Like your ego's not more important than their mental health, their livelihoods, their education. Just take the
So a lot of gen ed teachers make special educators feel less than,
Oh, I hate that.
because they'll say, oh, well, you have assistants and 10 kids.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I am by myself with 16 or 20. In New York, it was 32, by the way. And I'm like, one student I am teaching has literally like 10 accommodations. That's not easy. How that accommodation looks for this one student is not the same for the next. And I'm teaching K through 5th now. So I have kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Oh my God.
Every subject. Accommodating each subject. Hitting each goal. Do you know how hard that is? And then the way my para educators are seen, they're just your assistants.
No, we love paras here.
I said, let me tell you
In
something.
this podcast, we love paras.
I said, let me tell you something. I will buy them a house if I was rich. Let me tell you. They are my legit backbone. I don't care if I have $2 in my bag. If that's all I have, I'm going to give it to you. I need you. And the first thing I say in my classroom before I even meet my students, I tell my paraprofessionals, I say to them, in here, I don't say I am the teacher and you are the para. That's not how it works.
For people that don't know, what's a para?
Paraprofessional. So I hate the word assistants. They assist in the classroom with teaching, with toileting, with behavior. For me, I describe them as
They are heroes.
teachers.
They are teachers. They're just not paid like, we're not getting, teachers aren't paid in general, but they're getting paid way worse.
Like, if we're underpaid,
Paras are so underpaid.
like,
I really want to find a para on social media. To like,
they go through hell and back.
yeah, they do. They
And
really do.
barely get a thank you. In my classroom, we do rotations. Go to Miss So-and-so. Go to Mr. So. And they're like, go to the para over there. People come in our classroom. If they didn't know that on paper I was the teacher, you would not know who the teacher was in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Because
They're
why should I treat you less than?
No.
Why?
No.
Because you don't have the certification that I have.
They're so essential.
So what I do is when I start, and in New York, we got new paras all the time. I started this year and I said to my paraprofessionals, I don't know what you know. You don't know what I know. If you feel something works better, please tell me.
Yeah.
If you see something that you think I did inappropriately or will not function or just made no sense, like, hey, Ms. Jackson,
Let me know. Just let me know.
that's not it, girl. Let's try again.
Yeah.
But there are other teachers, I don't say their names, that say, don't call them paraeducators. I earned my degree. They're not educators.
Ew. Ew.
Where'd you come from?
I hate the little
Don't
corner
call
of
them that.
education that's so gatekeepy. Oh, it just drives me crazy.
Yeah. So, see, I would be that para. I was like, all right, do the work by yourself. I'm going to sit here, do nothing.
Yeah,
Since you don't need me and I don't have to teach.
I'm not an educator.
Hey, here's these papers for rotation. I'm sorry, I can't do that because I'm not an educator. No can do.
I hate it. Okay, to switch it up a little bit,
Whew.
because I'm
You're hot,
really
hot,
heated. I'm
hot.
really heated, and I can feel myself sweating.
Like this.
I
The
can-
switch.
They all know whenever I get like really riled up, I'll just start sweating.
I can't. Oh my God, circles.
What are some ways that like parents might make your life a little bit more difficult?
We have many parents that are in denial.
Okay.
In denial about either the diagnosis, in denial that the child is not at their actual grade level,
Okay.
or that their child does anything that's not appropriate.
Okay.
For example, so-and-so pushed someone today. They must be getting abused and seen in the classroom. My child would never touch someone.
Well, they didn't.
Little Miss Ma'am. Little Miss Ma'am, your child pushed the other child. It happens. They're children.
Yeah.
They're children.
They're gonna
Or
do
like
that.
another situation with a parent is they want to know like why they're not receiving RBT. Ma'am, you do that part. I can't get an RBT for this child. I am just the teacher in the classroom. You do that. Well, I want them in a classroom all day, every day. My child got 40 hours. They have to be with my child all day. No. First of all, therapy sessions are private. It's a HIPAA violation. RBT is not part of the school system. Goodbye.
I can't do anything with that.
Bye.
Sorry. I once had a mom email me so upset.
I've gotten cursed out.
And she didn't use nice words.
Let's go with that one.
And she was just yelling at me. She's like, don't you know, I heard you scolded my son today, and don't you know he has an IEP, and don't you know he has accommodations? And I was like,
That has nothing
ma'am,
to do with it.
your son has accommodations for preferential seating, for your son has an accommodation for extra time on tests. That doesn't give him a free pass to say slurs in my classroom. Like, I don't know why you think that just because he has an IEP, he can just say offensive things. I'm like, that's not how that works. And she's like, well, what about freedom of speech? I'm like, that's not how that works either. That's not how any of those things work. I don't know.
Appropriateness.
I will say, okay, something that I learned from social media.
Oh, no.
And this is like one of those things where like I took the L.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I guess I'm done messed up. It's fine. Because, I do skits and I use comedy to raise awareness about
Right.
in education. And someone sent me a story about how this mom, like, can you believe this mom was trying to get this kid a mini horse as a service animal? And I was like, that's crazy. I didn't know that was an actual thing.
I never heard of that.
Apparently it's an actual thing. And
Like a
mini horse.
Okay, a pony.
I don't know this. It's like a very specific kind of disability kind of thing. But I didn't know.
I've never heard of that.
I thought it was genuinely just one of those crazy parent requests because they are crazy.
Oh,
I had a parent that wanted me to follow her 16 or 14-year-old son to lunch in the middle of one of my other classes to make sure he didn't get red Gatorade from the vending machine because that messes with his ADHD. And I'm like, sorry, class. Sit tight for 15 minutes.
I have to make sure he doesn't get this Gatorade.
I have to make sure he doesn't get this Gatorade. Like, there are crazy requests.
Yeah, no, they are. They really are.
I genuinely thought this was one. And so I was, like, poking fun of it in the skit. And people were like, no, Rebecca. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't. But I wouldn't have even known. That's an example of we're always learning. You are never too old to learn something new.
Right.
Is that a common thing? No, it is not, but it exists, and I apologize profusely because I just didn't know. And these are the I think when people don't know something, like never yell at someone for not knowing what they don't know, but also when you're being told something you didn't know, take it gracefully. Take it gracefully. Take the yell. One more question for you.
I'm scared.
No. I know there's a lot of parents out there who really want to look into accommodations for their kids, but they don't know how to get started. How does that work?
So what I was told was the teacher in the classroom needs to collect data to support whatever the accommodation is that the parent wants or the child may need.
Right.
That data needs to be taken to the principal. Sometimes it's taken to the behavior specialist or whoever it is in that school. It's very different everywhere else. I mean, every other school you go to. And then from there, they call a meeting with the parent. The parent discusses what she sees. We discuss what we see, what we collected. We come up with what we think this child needs in terms of accommodations. However, a parent can go to a specialist.
Like a doctor. And have the doctor say, hey, they have this.
For example, we've collected a lot of data. We're like, is not enough data showing that this child needs this accommodation. Like, it is feasible for them to finish this assignment or finish these tests in the time frame they would give or whatever. The mom went and got 3 different specialists and was like, my child cried all day and had hyperventilated and got anxiety. Not true. We have the data. You weren't in the classroom, ma'am. But the doctors wrote the note saying that child needed accommodation, and they got it.
Well, because a lot of people don't realize that IEPs are legally binding. So if a doctor says this kid needs an accommodation,
you need to give it to them.
Whether it fits the data or not,
they get it.
And the data is important, but also at the end of the day, like, I feel like that happens so much less. Like, usually when a doctor says, hey, there's this disability, you just follow the IEP. It's always better and safer to just assume, like, they need it. Because that would just be offensive to assume that they just don't. Listen, and then you better follow. If that thing says 60 minutes, you better get those 60 minutes in. Absolutely. Those things are legal. You do not mess with IEPs. Like, that is
like legal. Some of the stuff that I read, I'm like, what? So it's like, you need to do it until it's amended. And then if you feel this is not it, you better amend it quick.
I think that's another difference between IEPs and 504s is that IEPs are legally binding, 504s are not. And I think a lot of that comes from like the doctor documentation of like the doctor kind of ordering those. I don't know why I put air quotes. I don't know. You know, or like the ordering. You know, like a weird word. You know. What I mean? But yeah. Okay. So are there any things, misconceptions, or anything that you want to leave our listeners with? Anything you want them to know about special education as a teacher or for students, or anything that you just think is an important something for them to know?
As a teacher parent.
Okay, as a teacher parent.
Because technically my son has a disability. I just would like for people to be open-minded.
I love that.
Just be accepting. Yeah. Be open-minded. Learn. You don't understand them. It's okay that you don't understand them. Ask appropriately. You can ask, what does it feel like? What do you feel? Or what do you see the difference is? Or what does that mean? Instead of saying, I don't understand. Oh, they're disabled. I don't understand. I
take the time to learn.
These are humans.
Yeah.
People with disabilities are human. They just have a diagnosis. They learn different. We all learn different. We already spoke about that. Some possibly will never walk, never talk. Maybe cognitively are not academically where they should be, but they're people. Talk to them. I've noticed when someone has a diagnosis, they talk to the parent.
Yes.
No. The parent can listen and answer, but talk to them. They feel validated.
Yes.
Look at them. I respect you.
I love that.
You can't tell me what I'm asking you to tell me, but I respect you because this is about you.
Like, be included in
Yeah.
this. I love that so
My dad is handicapped. He had a really bad accident. It was a long story. I will cry if I talk about it because we're still dealing with it. But he lost his speech. He's still there, lost his speech. And I always have everyone talk to me, talk to my mom. And the last time he was I'm getting choked up. He was in a hospital. The doctor went straight to him. Mr. Jackson, we saw these in your life, looking right into his eyes. And I was like, I'm sitting there, I'm like,
oh my God, so
and I look at my mom, I'm like, and my dad responded. He didn't speak, but did one of these. And then looked at us and turned back and did one of these. And for like a second, I knew, I'm crying. I knew he felt like a person. Sorry.
No, don't why are you sorry? That's beautiful. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, don't look at me, look at him. Yeah, talk to him.
He's still a human being.
He's still there. He's just, something better answer you. I'll answer for him, but just look at him. But yeah, and I felt like after he saw that people were talking to him regular, what we would consider regular, he started progressing. He was turning into a little vegetable, literally just there.
Probably just gave up and like that gave him that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So now even when he's trying to get something, he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, Dad, you called me? You want something? What is it? But at least like now he knows if I make a noise, they're gonna come see what's wrong with me. They're not gonna call my daughter and my wife and be like, your husband made a noise. What is it? Come check on me. As a student, come talk to me. I'm angry. Come ask me why I'm angry. Tell me it's okay.
Find ways to communicate with.
Right. Oh, the child's not gonna learn anything. Who said? Who said? Give him something else. Oh, you like Pokemon? Oh, let's make it into Pokemon. That's what Rob did. He found everything that the students liked and used exactly that. And guess what? We're engaged. We're learning. Maybe not at grade level, but we're getting somewhere. Meet them where they want to be met. And then give a little push.
There's literally nothing I can say to top that. So.
Sorry.
No, that's what I'm ending on.
As I cried and blinked, I'm like,
no, that's beautiful.
Ugly face.
Literally the whole time I'm like, there's no way I'm adding anything. This is perfect.
What I do is hard, but I love it.
As you should.
The pay is terrible, but I love it. I'm not here for the pay.
I think, okay, I will add one small thing.
Yes.
I wish people understood that if more money went into education, then special education and special educators would have more tools to help these kids where they're at.
When we do all these things, like wish list and stuff, that's not, I don't want you to fund me.
No.
I want to give them more.
Yeah.
The lack of resources is crazy.
It's bad.
So I do my own thing.
It's so bad. I always I started encouraging people, especially with every week, like adding in more questions down in the comments. Like, oh darn, do we have to do a part 2? Oh, no. That's so crazy.
Oh, do we have to follow up?
Anything about special education, special educators, students with disabilities, anything, like, definitely put it down in the comments.
Yeah.
Definitely see what else you are seeking answers on.
And tell us, something's going on over here, but tell us. I really need to know this 504 IEP thing.
Yeah, like what are you told at your
Where
school? Like,
where are you from, and what are you told is the difference between 504 and IEP?
Yeah.
Because man,
apparently it's different.
I've been in New York and Florida, and in Florida I've been in 2 different schools, and I'm like,
It's a different, literally everywhere.
excuse me, we're in the same state. I'm confused.
Can you please have some consistency?
What I do know is I am going to definitely do whatever this says to do.
Yes, I'm gonna do whatever it's telling.
Regardless of if 504 IEP, note from your doctor, whatever it is, I'm following that.
I love it.
And we're gonna make it work.
Thanks so much for hanging out.
Thank you.
I love it.
I love it. Thank you so much.
And thank you guys for hanging out with us.
If I'm
just as obsessed
awkward
with
over here.
No, I'm so awkward. Don't know.
Rob is a friendly. Well, I am very friendly, but Rob is very like.
I'm friendly, but I'm also awkward. I just embrace it.
I'm awkward, but what can you do?
Well, thanks so much for hanging
It's
out
like,
with me.
thank you for having us.
I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Oh, we just did the same thing.
It's the teacher hands. It's the teacher
And
hands.
a teacher pose.
Yes.
Always. Toodles.